Hello again. Today's beer comes to us from Idaho Springs, not Idaho, but Colorado. It's the Tommyknocker Brewing Company. First time we've done a beer out of that brewing company. It is their Maple Nut Brown Ale. Now, Tommyknocker Brewing Company was, I believe, founded way back in the 1850s. Soda, root beer, a lot of flavors of root beer, and of course, regular beer as well. I didn't know it kind of traces its roots back that far. Of course, that was kind of an old incarnation of the Tommyknocker Brewing Company. But this beer is an American brown ale, 4.5% ABV, so a very low alcohol by volume beer. It's available year-round, as I mentioned. 78% rating on Beer Advocate, a 32% rating on Rate Beer. So Beer Advocate thinks it's okay, Rate Beer thinks it's not really that great. 20 IBUs, so very low probably on the hoppiness scale. And of course, as you might have guessed by the title, there is an element of maple syrup that goes into each barrel of this beer. They use Munich caramel and chocolate malts, and it is an award-winning beer. It won the World Beer Cup gold medal in 2000, as well as the Great American Beer Festival bronze medal in 1996. So it has some victories under its belt, even though they are a little bit in the past. It does say about the gold rush back in the 1800s. Tommyknocker slipped into the mining camps of Idaho Springs in the 1800s with the discovery of gold in our mountains and streams. These mischievous elves, though hardly ever seen, were often heard singing and working. They guided many fortunate miners from harm's way and to the gold they sought. So Tommyknocker, I guess, is a mischievous elf during the time of the gold rush. Never knew that. Always heard the name of the brewery and just thought it was some guy's last name. Who knew? We're going to pour this into a pint glass, shaker, pint glass, dimpled mug. Actually, I believe is what Rate Beer recommends. I don't own a dimpled mug, so we'll do the next best thing. And when in doubt, go for the pint glass. And we see that brown color that we're accustomed to with a brown ale, with about a half a finger of head on it. So, kind of your standard appearance of a brown ale. Nothing too crazy going on here. Just kind of a maybe a little darker version of a brown ale than normal. Maybe not too much, as we'll get the aroma now. All right, I'm getting a very slight hint of that maple syrup. It is a bit of a sweet-smelling beer. I'm sure the maple syrup has something to do with that. As far as the chocolate and the caramel, again, a very, very slight aroma of those two. Not a very powerfully smelling beer, and then again, it's 4.5% ABV, but a decent smelling beer, if I may say so myself. Let's get the taste now. I'll tell you what, the first taste of this, it really tastes like it's going to be something extra special. I mean, you get that syrupy kind of taste at the front of the palate with a little bit of the caramel. Not getting too much of the chocolate. I'm getting more caramel than chocolate in the taste of this. But when it goes down for the aftertaste, I'm kind of getting macro brew kind of sensation. I'm not really getting some earthy kind of tones to this beer. It's a little more almost Yingling-ish. Yeah, again, the second taste, even the beginning is kind of being dulled down, I guess, because of the first taste. So it really kind of lacks in a bit of authenticity with the overall taste. In the beginning, it tastes like it's going to, as I mentioned, it's going to taste like, wow, you're going to get an explosion of maple syrup at some point here. And it just doesn't quite do that. Not a bad beer, but just not a beer that you'd really remember, I don't think. Not just, and this is kind of true, in my opinion, of a lot of Tommyknockers brewers, or beers rather. I've never had a beer from Tommyknocker that I can remember. Like, I can't even actually tell you the name of another Tommyknocker beer, but they're all over the place. So that said, nothing to write home about. Not awful, not great, so I'm going to, in the end, give Tommyknocker Maple Nut Brown Ale, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. Because aroma not great, but not bad. Middle of the pack. I got to say, the label art, Tommyknocker's beers just don't hit me either, and that does have something to do with it, even though it doesn't really contribute to the taste. It's kind of perception, book by cover, that kind of thing. And I just aroma, not much, as I mentioned before. Appearance, kind of run of the mill, and taste starts out decent, ends up kind of just like any other beer you'd get a case of for $20.